Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys finally my review for Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill 2022. I apologize for the delay on this video, but pretty much what happened is my sleep schedule's been off, so I haven't had time to fit watching any of these shows into my day, which is why I haven't really been able to watch Wrestle Kingdom. Plus, it's so long, it's pretty damn long, so that's why I also haven't watched that. But I want to launch a show on Sunday, and I need to watch all these other shows to be able to do that. So that's why I'm doing my Hard to Kill review now. Now, I will admit I haven't seen Impact from this week yet, so I'm reviewing this without having seen that, but I'll try to not tie it in to this week's Impact too much. But yeah, let's get right into this review. I really enjoyed this show. Uh, they aired it in Texas. This was their debut in the brewery and all that type of stuff, and it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the way the venue looked and everything like that. Um, yeah, so I really enjoyed that. We're gonna start off with the pre-show or the countdown show as they call it. We had the debut and commentary team of Tom Heffernan and D'Lo Brown. Matt Striker, I don't know what's gonna happen with him. I think he's probably gonna end up leaving Impact, and Tom Heffernan's gonna replace him. He's best known from his days in WWE as Tom Phillips, and obviously he was released last year, so this is the first time he's been seen in the wrestling world since that release. And I'm actually fine with him replacing Matt Striker. I would have preferred Matt Striker to stay, but I think he had too much going on because I remember there'd be a period of time where he wouldn't even be on Impact for like weeks, and Josh Matthews would have to take over. So I think it's just easier for everyone to sign Tom Heffernan. He actually was pretty well in tune with what was going on. He knew about every storyline that was going on. I don't know if he watched Impact like while he was after he was released or whatever, because he seemed like he knew about every storyline that had been going on, not just currently, but like in the past. So I think that's pretty damn enjoyable. Going through the card now, the first match on the pre-show was Madman Fulton. I forgot his name for a second there. Versus Jake something, and they ended up having a pretty damn good big man match. Madman Fulton and him just really went at each other. They had this brawl on the apron. Madman Fulton chokeslammed him on the apron. They had a lot of cool dives on each other. But eventually, Jake something got the win with the Black Hole Slam, which I kind of figured was going to happen because they Madman Fulton always seems to lose. I don't know why, but he does. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good match. Yeah, I give it like 3.25 stars. It was just two big men really going all out at each other, which I really enjoy that stuff. And then we had the four-way match, which was I have to get the my notes for the name. I thought I was going to be able to remember it, but the four-way match was an X Division match. It was Ace Austin versus Chris Bay versus Laredo Kid versus Mike Bailey. This was Mike Bailey's big debut in Impact. He teased it on their YouTube channel like a few weeks ago. So this was his big debut. I'm pretty sure they announced that somebody else was going to be in this match, though. I remember when I did my predictions, I didn't predict Mike Bailey was going to be. Well, I didn't, not necessarily, but he wasn't advertised for the match, so I didn't pick him to win. But yeah, they had a very fun X Division match. Everybody went all out for this match. Everybody got their moments to shine. Everybody hit a lot of really cool dives. Mike Bailey looked really good in this match. He eventually ended up getting the win with a shooting star press, like double knees to the back of Ace Austin, and I really enjoyed this. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. It was basically what you see from a four-way match, but very enjoyable. I gave this like 4 stars. It was a great match, and I think Mike Bailey is going to be a future challenger at some point to the X Division title, which I'm really going to enjoy. Yeah, great match right there. Then we had the actual opening match of the show. I really enjoyed the video package they did where they showed various moments in the Impact wrestlers' careers. And maybe not various moments, but moments where they got beaten down or injured, and then they came back from it, showing that they were hard to kill. So I really enjoyed that. The opening match was the X Division match for the number one contendership to the Knockouts Championship. It was Tasha Steelz versus Alicia versus Jordynne Grace versus Rosemary versus Lady Frost versus Chelsea Green. Yeah, this was a great way to kick off the show. I don't really think you could have had a better first match for the Knockouts title. I think every wrestler in here brought something to the table. Everybody had their chance to shine. There were obviously some botches in this match, like when Rosemary tried to do the spear to Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green. She ended up landing face first on the mat. When Jordynne Grace did the Sky High off the cables that connect the that connect to the X. It clearly looked like Tasha Steelz was set up for it. So there were things like that, but it was really enjoyable. Really anybody could have won this match. They had Lady Frost have some shine by doing a really cool temperature drop, which was obviously a moonsault. Alicia Edwards and Chelsea Green did a double moonsault on everybody. Alicia brought Kendra out. There were some ace crushers in this match. They brought their Rosemary and Tasha Steelz brought their muscle, which was obviously Havoc for Rosemary, and Savannah Evans for Tasha Steelz. They did a Doomsday device with Tasha Steelz. Chelsea Green did a clothesline while Rosemary was on Havoc's shoulders. It was just a really enjoyable match. Eventually, the finish comes when Tasha Steelz and Chelsea Green are both trying to get to the X. They both grab hold of it, and eventually Tasha Steelz just drops to the mat and ends up winning the match, which I actually was surprised about. I didn't think they'd go with Tasha Steelz, but they're gonna. She's not winning the belt probably, but she's going to be a nice little filler opponent for the current Knockouts champion right now. So I really enjoyed this match. There was some botches in it, but I still really enjoyed it. So I give this like 4 stars. I thought it was a great match. I think it could have looked a little smoother because there was some times where people were just clearly setting up for things. So I think they could have made this match look a little bit smoother. Then we had the X Division Championship match. Trey Miguel defended against Steve Macklin. This was a great X Division match right here. Steve Macklin, just before the match even started, immediately had a dive on Trey Miguel, and they brawled for a while before the bell rang. And once the bell rang, it was just even more intense. It was really fast-paced, really hard-hitting. Trey Miguel just kicked Steve Macklin's ass for a while. He had a lot of really cool dives on him. He even at one point hit a meteor or double knees off the top, and he ended up sitting Steve Macklin's back of the head like into the guardrail, which was really cool. Steve Macklin threw him into the barricade a couple of times, or the guardrail a couple of times, and he really just slowly but maliciously picked apart Steve Miguel for a while. It was really enjoyable. Eventually, Trey Miguel came back. He had several cool meteors. Steve Macklin at one point, he usually does it when the opponent's in the tree roll position, when he hits the running shoulder tackle into the corner. But this time, Trey Miguel was in the tree roll position into the ropes, which was cool. Trey Miguel hit a really cool suicide dive. A springboard DDT. But then eventually the finish came when Trey Miguel, he could have taken a count-out win, but he wanted to beat Steve Macklin to prove to himself that he could. And eventually Miguel hit a double knees from the top, but Macklin kicked out. And then he hit a brain buster and then a second double knees and finally got the win. So I really enjoyed that they had Trey Miguel go over. I'm really happy about that. Because, I think you're going to get some great matches out of him as a champion. And you could really tell a nice story where Steve Macklin has to come back from his first loss now. And I don't think he looked weak by losing. Like, it took a lot for Trey Miguel to beat him. So I'm actually fine with this. I give it like 4.25 stars. This was another great match right here. Then we had the next match. It was the ROH World Title match. Jonathan Gresham defended against Chris Sabin. They had Ian Riccaboni, who's the play-by-play guy for ROH out there doing play-by-play on commentary, and they had Bobby Cruz do the ring announcing. And they had this match held under pure wrestling rules, which is you can't do close fists, and if you do it once, you get a warning, but the rest is a DQ. It was a 20 count outside the ring, and you only got 3 rope breaks, and after that, rope breaks wouldn't count for the opponent in the match. So I really enjoyed how they did. And you had to abide by the code of honor. You had to shake hands before and after the match. And these two went out there and just had a great ROH World Title match. I like that Ian Riccaboni mentioned that Chris Sabin was owed an ROH title shot because he had went to a time limit draw with Jay Lethal, who was the champion at the time. And this was great. This was fantastic. Jonathan Gresham, I've seen him have a few matches, and he's really impressed me every time. He really started to target the legs of Chris Sabin, and he hits just some nice smooth chain wrestling, some nice smooth transition. He had this submission where he had Sabin in a crossface, and Sabin struggled to get to the ropes and finally did. They even made the rope breaks matter in this match because of the whole thing where you only get like 3 rope breaks. It really tells a story in there, and you could see that Jonathan Gresham was teasing him with it. Jonathan Gresham even used one of his rope breaks, which I've never really seen him do. Sabin, you thought was going to have it won with a cradle shock. Jonathan Gresham got his feet under the ropes. Jonathan Gresham eventually, though, ended up getting the victory with a bridge roll up, which I didn't see coming. I didn't really think that was. I knew he'd win, but I didn't think the match was going to end at that point. And I thought that made sense for him, obviously, to win. He just won the belt not that long ago, so makes sense for him to get the win here. But these two went out there. They told a really nice story. They had a really good, smooth match where it had some high flying. It had some technical wrestling in there, and I thought they just had a kick-ass match. I give this like 4.5 stars. It was great. Then we had Josh Alexander versus Jonah. These two also went out there and had a great big man match. Josh Alexander was immediately aggressive with this match, taking out Jonah for everything that Jonah's done to him. He really worked over the leg of Jonah throughout much of this match. Jonah, though, used Josh Alexander's rib injury against him. Jonah hit a suplex on the floor, and he really started to target the ribs of Josh Alexander. But eventually, Josh Alexander started to come back. He had a really cool dive on the outside. Not just to the outside, but he went over the crowd and hit Jonah right then and there. And he nearly won by countout, but Jonah just barely got into the ring. Jonah hit some really nice sentons in this match, really worked over the ribs of Josh Alexander. Eventually, though, Josh Alexander hit a superplex and locked Jonah on the ankle lock, and Jonah ended up tapping out. Josh Alexander ended up getting the victory. I don't know if I would have done that. I don't think it was the best decision, just considering the fact that Jonah's just come into the company, and I think they really needed to put him over strong with a win, and I think they easily had enough for Josh Alexander to lose, considering the fact that he had the injured ribs and everything, but they went with that decision, and I guess it is what it is. I don't think Jonah will come off looking bad, but I just think this victory will have really benefited him more than Josh Alexander. You easily could have waited and done another match and had Josh Alexander get the win that way. But I still thought the match was great. I gave it 4 stars. I did knock it down a star for the finish. They also did an interview on the show with the Influence, because obviously the Knockouts tag title match didn't happen because of the Inspiration were in contact with COVID. So they just did a funny interview where they talk about how they weren't professionals for not showing up to work and things like that. And they showed like pictures, and they just basically made fun of the Inspiration. So they're gonna do the match probably on a future Impact. So I would be alright with that. They poked fun at the fact that they could have just had it be defended in a 1-on-1 match, but they say you can't do that. You have to defend in a tag match, and I think that was a shot at WWE because obviously that's what WWE did in the very beginning of the pandemic at WrestleMania, where they just had a standard triple threat match for the titles. Then we had Hardcore War. It was Violent by Design and the Good Brothers versus Eddie Edwards, Rich Swann, Willie Mack, Rhino, and Heath. They all did an interview earlier in the night, the Babyfaces team anyways, where they all just said they were going to hurt Violent by Design and the Good Brothers. And Rhino said that he was going to, since Eric Young got inside his head, he was going to get inside Eric Young's head and bust him open. And it led to this match. This is basically War Games with out a cage. And the two people that started the match were Dina and Rich Swann. They went at it for a while. They had a lot of really cool. They did a lot of really cool hardcore stuff where Rich Swann went in head first into a chair that he set up in the corner, and eventually Rich Swann hit a kick to the head, and basically it went that way for a while. Every so now and then, a new person will come in. And obviously, since the heels had the advantage, they would get the advantage. And anytime a new guy came in, that person's team would get the advantage. And everyone but Joe Doran came in with a weapon. If I can remember the weapons, Carl Anderson came in with a golf club. Heath came in with powder. Willie Mack came in with some type of pipe or crowbar. Rhino came in with a chain. Gallows came in with a chain. Eddie Edwards came in obviously with Kenny, and Eric Young came in with trash cans. They did some really enjoyable spots in this match. You had Rich Swann and Willie Mack do a 3D through a door, that was set up on, a couple of steel chairs. Rich Swann hit Carl Anderson in the balls with the golf club. Eric Young ran out with 2 trash can lids and hit Eddie Edwards with them. Eddie Edwards using Kenny and really going to town on people with the kendo stick. They just did a lot of really cool, hardcore, brutal stuff that I really just can't do justice to. Which was pretty damn awesome. Eventually, once the match actually broke down, Eric Young did a power driver through a table. Everyone got busted open at one point. Rhino did what he promised and hit Eric Young with a chain. Eventually, the finish came when Rhino hit the gore onto Carl Anderson, and Heath Slater got the pin on him. So Heath and Rhino are probably going to get a future tag title shot on Impact at some point, which I'm totally fine with. That's a fresh matchup they haven't done before. I know I've seen it in WWE and things like that, but I think this will be a completely fresh match. And then I thought the segment was done there. It was going to be the babyfaces stand tall, feel good story. But then it got better. All of a sudden, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett run out, the original Kingdom, the OGK, and attack everybody, all the baby faces anyways. And eventually, it didn't just stop there. Then Vincent came out and they reunited the original Kingdom. And then PCO came out and everybody just ran roughshod on the Impact Stars and they laid everybody out. Matt Taven held up the Impact Tag titles, showing that they're going to go for those. They brought out Maria Kanellis. And, ROH invaded Impact. They interviewed Scott D'Amore about it backstage. And he says that he doesn't really know how to react to this. So I'm interested to see what happens with this. I'm really excited about the ROH invasion. I think it keeps ROH, name out there. And I think it could do some nice things for Impact. And I think at some point the OGK are going to get the tag titles. And I would have, Vincent or PCO get the digital media title. And I would have probably Vincent get the X Division title. Maybe PCO get the digital media title. and just have them completely take over the show. I'm really excited about this. Because, obviously, too, Mike Bennett's been in Impact before, as well as Maria Kanellis Bennett. And I think they could do some great things at Impact. I'm really excited about this. The match itself was like 4.5 stars, and this segment really brought it home. Then we had the Impact World Championship match. Moose defending against W. Morrissey and Matt Cardona. Obviously, earlier in the night, the Cardonas did an interview segment where they talk about how this was their honeymoon and they were going to leave champions. Obviously, Chelsea Green failed. But yeah, this was a really great world title match. I was surprised it didn't main event. I thought it would have. But I think it made sense that it didn't main event, considering the fact that the main event ended up being a hardcore match. And you don't want to follow one hardcore match with another. That just isn't good card structuring. But yeah, I enjoyed this triple threat match. I thought these three guys went out there and had a great match. I still think W. Morrissey was just an odd fit for the match, just because of the fact that it seemed like the story was just really between Moose and Matt Cardona. So I really wish they could have, just had a one-on-one match. But they all went at it. W. Morrissey nearly pinned Moose in seconds to become the world champion, but Matt Cardona broke it up. Everybody else all went at it. It was every man for themselves, which I liked. I thought, in the beginning, Morrissey and Moose were going to work together, but that didn't happen. And Matt Cardona hit a dive on everybody. Moose threw him into the guardrail at one point. And eventually, Moose and Matt Cardona, brawled up to the stage. And Moose threatened that he was going to powerbomb him onto the stage, but Chelsea Green tried to plead with him, and he just flipped her off. So she flipped him off and dove off the stage to save her husband, which was awesome. And everybody had this one a handful of times. Moose had it one with a go to hell, but Matt Cardona broke it up with a version of the radio silence while Moose was on the floor, and Moose nearly had the match won several times as well. Eventually, the ref ended up taking a bump when he was accidentally speared by Moose. And at one point, Moose also went through a table on the outside. Like, Matt Cardona shoved him off. And you thought Matt Cardona at one point was going to have it won with the radio silence, but Moose pulled the official out of the ring. And then all the ref bump stuff happened. And they all grabbed chairs. They destroyed Matt Cardona with these chairs. W. Morrissey had the title won at one point. He had Moose down for like an 8 count after the big boot, but the referee wasn't there. And Matt Cardona had it won at one point. Again, the referee wasn't there. And eventually, Moose went for another spear. No, they went to redo the same spot. Where Moose went to hit Matt Cardona with a chair. Where Matt Cardona went to hit Moose with a chair, and he almost hit Chelsea Green again, but this time he caught himself, which was really good storytelling. And then they did another rough bump, and Moose ended up hitting the powerbomb into the spear for the win. And Moose ended up attaining the Impact World Championship, which makes sense. I think they did one too many ref bumps, but other than that, I thought the match was great. I gave this 4 stars. And then, we had the main event. It was the Texas Death Match for the Knockouts Championship. Mickie James defended against Deonna Purrazzo. Earlier in the show, Mickie James said that she wasn't going to let her announcement being in the Royal Rumble match take her focus away from this match. And then Deonna Purrazzo did one later in the night. Later in the night, where she said that she always has a plan, and Gail Kim came up and told her that if Matthew Remwelt laid a hand on Mickie James, he'd be fired, and she would automatically lose the match. I wasn't a fan of that part of the stipulation. I think they just should have done the thing where he was fired, because how can you lose a match if it's no DQ? That just doesn't make sense. I liked for the rules for this match. I thought it was going to be last woman standing, but instead it was you had to get a pinfall or submission, and then it was last woman standing, so I thought that was a pretty cool take on the match. Makes the match feel different. I think it was a great choice to have this match main event too, since Mickie James had been in the headlines with her announcement of being in the Royal Rumble match. So I thought that was really cool. Um, and I liked how they both women ended up getting a pinfall or submission on each other right away, just to kind of get in each other's heads. They both grabbed chairs in this match and did to kind of say, what you can do, I can do better type of thing. Mickie James got the advantage through in the early moments of this matchup, and it was just a brawl event, and it led to kind of no one really getting an advantage on each other. They just had like a big fight outside the ring, pretty much. Gianna Peraza used a trash can. She grabbed one of those roll cases and ran Mickie James head first into it, and got the pinfall victory, but Mickie James was able to get up, and Mickie James got busted open from that too, which was cool. And they both really went at it. They used thumbtacks in this match, and Mickie James ended up going into the thumbtacks when she went for her McDT through the table. And she got hit with a trash can. She got hit with a kendo stick. Mickie James had a really cool suicide dive to the outside. She hit the Luthez press from the apron, got the pinfall victory on Gianna that way. But Matthew Winwalt ended up helping her up, and I love how that was a loophole, because since he didn't put her hands on her, he wasn't fired or anything like that. So she ended up taking him out. She ended up hitting him with her head with a guitar at one point, actually. Deonna Purrazzo hit the Queen's Gambit off the top turnbuckle through a table, but Mickie James still got up from it. And eventually Mickie James hit the Mick kick into the Mick DT onto the barbed wire. Not the barbed wire, the thumbtacks. And that didn't look like the greatest finish, but then she powered Deonna Purrazzo onto them, and Mickie James ended up retaining the title. During the match too, Roxy, the ROH Women's World Champion, we're watching on, and obviously they're having their match. Well, they've already had the match, but when you're seeing this, they had their match last night, so I'm really interested to see what happens in that match. But yeah, I really enjoyed the knockout title match. That was a 4 3/4 stars. I would have given it 5 if the finish had been a little bit better, but I really enjoyed the knockouts title match. I think that might be the most brutal match Mickie James has probably ever had. I don't think she's ever done anything where she went into thumbtacks or got busted open like that, probably in a while. So yeah, that was hard to kill, though. I mean, I know I didn't go into detail about these matches, but definitely just go watch them, because I can't really do some of these matches any justice. I just kind of gave, some takes on what I thought of these matches and stuff. But yeah, overall as a whole, I thought this was a fantastic show. I can't really think of a bad match on it. It wasn't quite a perfect show, because I think some of the matches could have been better, like the Ultimate X match. I thought it was clunky at points, but I still thought it was a great match. And it just gets me excited for Impact's future with the ROH invasion, Mickie James being in the Rumble, who's next to challenge Moose for the title, and what's next for Josh Alexander now that he's beaten Jonah and stuff. Are they going to continue that? Are they not? So overall, I'm going to give the show like an A, probably like a 95. Probably like a 94 out of 100, not quite an A+, but I still really enjoyed the show. I thought Impact knocked it out of the park with the first pay-per-view of the year. And yeah, the next one's Rebellion, so I can't wait to watch that one. And obviously, I can't wait to just watch Impact in general. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. And if you want, to follow or subscribe to any of my stuff, it's all going to be in the description box down below. I plan on doing some videos and stuff, so that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.